We've got Arun Thukral also joining us today, so let's get his perspective on things as they stand as well. Arun, a little quiet today so far in trade, but let me get your overall perspective in terms of, market trajectory, whether you feel, what kind of phase we're entering into now. Are we still waiting for some near-term cues? What's your sense?
So now the elections are over, more or less. That part was a major event is gone. RBI rate cut has happened, and globally, if you look at this US-China trade war, so every day is a new day nowadays. And now maybe the US president is talking about that meeting Chinese president in the G20 meeting, and maybe till that date there will be some expectation, some assumptions. And the Brexit is also work in progress, so 31st October is the new date. At home, if you look at the monsoon, so we had this pre-monsoon showers yesterday in Mumbai, so maybe another 10 days monsoon should be here, although a bit delayed, but looks like that devolving El Nino or monsoon may be near normal as far as central India is concerned, and the northeast, northwest and southern region there may be some weakness, so that is around 93% of the normal. So I think that is, and the next trigger should be now the budget, and how the budget is handled, what kind of measures are taken. I think that is going to decide about the market. And over a 3 to 5 year period, as we always say, that we are bullish on the economy, and if we are getting into a $5 trillion club, so that way, yes, we are on the right trajectory, although the GDP numbers are not great, but that has to be addressed maybe in the new budget with some measures. So the investors right now are a little bit positive and trying to get into some sectors and nibbling on the way up. That is where we feel we are today. And going ahead, we will look at the budget reaction and whatever happens on the US-China trade war. And accordingly, we can step up our buying.
Okay, I'm intrigued, Arun, because you've actually talked about how you still see potential in pharma. Is this perhaps a more domestic oriented play? We've seen so much of a regulatory overhang and also lackluster stock performance when it comes to most of the names. A few stand out here or there. Do you have specific names in mind, or are you actually bullish on the pharma sector as a theme?
So we are bullish on pharma, but in the pecking order it comes after when we talk about private banks, we talk about consumption thing, we talk about IT, and maybe next in line we are saying pharma. Why pharma? Because what we are saying that yes, there are regulatory woes for some of the companies, but somewhere I think the price erosion has come down, which were in mid-teens earlier, which has now come to single digit, and over a period of time the companies are getting into more than generic product, they are getting into specialty products and all that. So over a period of time, what we feel that this is a sector which will get some kind of a tailwind later. Right now the rupee is not showing positive trend as far as IT and pharma companies are concerned, but over a period of time we see that rupee may depreciate further a little bit, and the performance of these companies will be definitely much better from here on. As of now, yes, you are right, even the quarterly earnings also, there was no great earnings from pharma, and that's why it is in on number 4 position in our pecking order. But yes, we are bullish as far as medium to long term is concerned.
Great. Arun, what are the other sectoral preferences that you have?
So as I said, the first is that again private banks with retail focus because of the CASA franchisee, even the corporate bank, the corporate cycle is now much better, the NPA cycle is also come down, so maybe they also have a good CASA base. So the private bank with retail as well as corporate focus, and within that also there are some select NBFCs where the ALM is much better. and these are the areas which are first in our pecking order, and then we get into IT because the spend on by US companies are increasing. Whatever the state of US economy is, sometimes we say that yes, that is an inverted yield curve and then maybe economy may suffer and all, but the spending on IT is increasing, so that gives a impetus to the IT companies, and the companies are also now getting into the digital space. If you look at the major names, although again the pressure on margin we have seen in the last quarter, but still we feel that IT companies should do well. Third, we are saying consumption. Because of the economy size, because of 130 crore people, we are thinking that if the monsoon is slightly better than expected, and in the budget government takes some steps to address the rural distress and all, there is and then some more rate cut happens, so I think that the consumption sector should get revived. So this is the third one, and then I talked about pharma already, and then maybe textile and chemicals in that order. So these are the few sectors where we are positive.
How long do you think it would take the consumption cycle to really change? You talked about the monsoon, the rate trajectory as well, but for it to really play out, and the demand environment to change, how long do you see for that, Arun?
So first trigger should be the budget, maybe whatever the measures are announced, that is going to help, and the other trigger is the NBFC crisis. Because of this NBFC crisis also the consumption is, because if you look at autos and all, these sectors will get only some breath when maybe there is some cycle change and some rate cut and this NBFC crisis gets solved. So maybe that is going to further trigger the positive side of this sector. So over a period of time, I think, again I said, we are a very strong economy as far as the consumption story is concerned. We are saying we had 130 crore people. If we talk about US and if you talk about UK, there are, if you look at anything, look at Walmart, look at Tesco, so with a population of 32 to 35 crore, they have got 4,000 stores. Now in India, we have 130 crore, and what kind of numbers we have, whether any departmental store, if you look at, so let's say D-Mart, I'm not recommending as of now, I'm saying they have only 155 or 170 stores. So I think if you look at these numbers and you look at 10 years ahead from now, if you look at India, there are 30 cars per thousand. If you look at China, it is 80, or if you look at US, it is 700. So if you look at these numbers, that itself, and you are one of the fastest growing economy, maybe this time's number are not that great, but if you look at the big picture for the next few years, there is going to be a consumption boom in the country.
Sure. What about capital goods then? At least, everything that we talk about seems to have a long-term trajectory, Arun, which is great because that is, of course, the foundation principle for investing. But the markets are also eager to see signals of momentum. And where do you see that coming in terms of, and perhaps more in the near term? Do you see that more in the capital goods space because of hopes with regards to what the government may kickstart in terms of reforms? Where do you really see that?
So first of all, in the near term, I have already mentioned that the private banks will immediately, that is the near term, or maybe the IT and all. But you are saying capital good, yes, there are positive green shoots where we have seen, if you look at last results, there were, and the private capex should start soon after the budget, because now government is into the second major leg, and they will be much stronger. So there will be more incentives for private capital to come in. So I think that is also going to turn around very soon. So as you said, capital good is one of the sector we are keenly watching, and maybe very soon we should come out with some report, but we are looking at this sector very positively.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us then, Arun, and talking us through your views. Consensus just seems to be building on waiting for cues, of course, from the budget, but on that turnaround story perhaps later in the year. We've also got Jaspal